Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Ray Tampa podcast. Our podcast is new. Our podcast is bold, and truth is our guiding principle. But political correctness is out the door. We will tell it like it is. Today, we're going to talk about the destruction that DeSantis and his legislative colleagues are doing to the public school system in Florida. What we're going to do is I'm going to read an article that I wrote. And my co-host, Mr. Jamie Wilson III and Mr. Russell Cato, two very intelligent, talented individuals, they're going to join me in a lively discussion about the article. Here's the title: Governor DeSantis is a madman. As a result, our education systems may be damaged for years to come. The article: Governor DeSantis has been known to say education, not indoctrination. He has also been known to say critical race theory will not be taught in Florida schools. He has repeatedly talked about parental rights in education is the way to go in Florida. Unfortunately, he fails to mention that only those parents who agree with his stupidity are allowed to exercise their freedoms, their rights. Governor DeSantis has even told college professors what to teach and what not to teach. What happened to academic freedoms? What happened to teaching and debating facts? What happened to the Board of Trustees' authority to control curriculum at the college level and the university level? How do you have students majoring in American history only to be taught partial history or revised history or whitewashed history? How do you major in anything but told your studies will have to stay confined to conservative ideology? How do you have a diverse student body but tell one group of students your history doesn't matter, while telling a different group of students their history is very important? Just recently, Governor DeSantis promoted the unveiling of the new civics curriculum to be taught in all Florida school districts. The governor held a press conference on June 30th, 2022, where he announced that the Florida Civics and Debate Initiative will expand to all school districts for the upcoming school year. He also stated that 2,500 teachers will complete 3-day civics professional development training by the end of July. As a former social studies teacher and school principal, I'm willing to bet that 99% of the teachers in Florida can see straight through this nonsense being peddled by DeSantis and his minions. This is indoctrination in every sense of the word. Our sick-minded governor spares no opportunity to twist everything done by the Biden administration to try and satisfy his and Trump's base of idiots. For example, Congress passed a bill known as Civics Secures Democracy Act. DeSantis has suggested that this act would allow the Biden administration to buy off states with $6 billion if they sacrifice American history for critical race theory and Biden's other political whims. Pure madness. DeSantis and our Republican-led legislature have received consultation from a little-known private college based in Michigan. Yes, Hillsdale College, a very conservative Christian nationalist institution, has been focusing its attention on changing America's educational system by extensively promoting charter schools. However, they have shifted their attention to the public schools and the teaching of civics. Civics grounded in Christianity and conservative ideology. So here it is, indoctrination in its truest sense. No doubt, DeSantis is damaging Florida's education systems badly. A local news report said that in Hillsborough County, they have lost more than 1,800 teachers over the course of last year. County after county has reported huge teacher losses in 2021. A couple of Pinellas County School Board members told me in separate conversations that teacher burnout is real. While neither board member knew of specific numbers or percentages, the district, like so many others, have seen teachers leave the profession in significant numbers. Two, the pressure from outside the district definitely factors into the equation big time. The same stupidity being spewed by DeSantis is being spewed by Republicans all across the country. They are very coordinated in their messaging that is anti-public education. Reportedly, more than 280,000 teachers nationwide have left the profession. Ouch. Thank you. All right, well, I'm going to ask my co-host to let's tackle this subject. Who would like to go first? All right, Jamie.
Well, the biggest thing, my sister's a teacher at Gibbs High School. And one of the bigger things they talk about is the pay, the not enough, for one, poor legislation. It's no one's really fighting for the teachers as far as pay and the other things they need. It's the shortages of other ancillary staff because people are not coming to work due to COVID or knowing how to deal with COVID, overcrowded classrooms, things like that. They're really frustrated and they're leaving. I mean, because if you're already below, I was looking at the, according to the NEA, the National Education Board, I know they were promised, I think DeSantis promised to raise the starting salaries for teachers to $47,500. I think right now, and some out of the counties, the 67 counties, only 31 has been moved up close to that. But right now it's around $44,040 is the starting pay. And like some counties, like as I said, has moved up to the $47,500. But they're really frustrated. They just don't have enough to do the job. And then it's being, he's saying what they can teach and can't do based on what you're saying. It's just frustration. It's a lot of frustration, and that's why they're leaving.
Okay, and I certainly agree with you. The pay, the outside influences from the politicians, the angry parents, the nonsensical parents, telling them what they can teach, what they can't teach. It's sickening. What'd you say, Russ?
I was glad that you mentioned that at one time, that you were a principal and you also was a teacher. And I think you and I can experience this. I taught for 40 some years in the county school system. And there's a lot of frustration, but let me put it in a simple tone. I go back when I first met Jamie, and Jamie said this to me. He said, Cato, you know, these people are trying to change this Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
I remember Jamie
Yeah.
telling me that. So when I go back and look at the sentence, the ideology is the same as Trumpism. It hasn't changed.
Right.
It's complete
Right.
control. Now listen to this, Greg. This man, DeSantis, want to control the whole nation,
Mhm.
federal, state, local.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he's putting in, Jamie.
Dictatorship.
Yeah, that's what he's putting in.
Mhm.
And I read your thing here on the first sheet read about parental rights. Now, in order to do these kind of control, you got to get some people to follow you. That's what he's doing. Go
Mhm.
back to the college.
Mm-hmm.
That college he's talking about.
Pilsen.
People don't understand that DeSantis trying to destroy public education.
Mm-hmm.
That is my point.
A bunch of charter schools.
And DeSantis does not care
Mm-hmm.
about all these qualified teachers losing or
Yes.
leaving the profession.
Mhm.
He doesn't care. Look at the stupidity that he offered in terms of replacing these teachers.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a veteran, come get a classroom.
Mm-hmm.
And if your wife needs a job, let her get a classroom.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a college degree? It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever worked with kids? Oh, it doesn't matter. But you were a veteran. That's what matters.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't care. So when you got a person in front of these kids in a classroom who has no training, who doesn't understand teaching strategies,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't understand the subject matter they're being asked to teach,
Mm-hmm.
what you think is going to happen? Parents are going to start pulling their kids out of those classrooms,
Right.
out of
Right.
those schools.
Mm-hmm.
Where are they going to take their kids? To a private school, charter school.
Mm-hmm.
That's the goal in the first place.
Right. Right.
Hillsdale College is all over the country promoting charter schools.
Mm-hmm.
Man,
can-
give me a break.
And they could control everything that's taught, probably outside of, because they're charter, maybe their rules are a little different from public. I don't know. I'm not in teaching, but I think they can push more of what, the nonsense that they're trying to spew anyway.
Yeah.
Especially this Hill thing, colleges like Hillsdale and schools of that nature. And with this Christian Nationalist Institute,
See, here's what you got to look at. The point is, who controls the educational system in Florida? Who controls it? It's the Florida Department of Education. That's what look who's on their board. These people from this Hillsdale College, I think his lady named Mary, I'm not too sure. He's putting these kind of people on that board.
Mhm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's how you do it. Right?
Yeah.
That's how
Well,
you do
the secretary for the Department of Education is somebody DeSantis
Mhm.
appointed to that position
Mhm.
because the previous secretary was Richard Corcoran,
it. Exactly.
who was as stupid as DeSantis.
Mhm.
As stupid as DeSantis. So certainly DeSantis wanted to get another stupid man.
Mhm.
But let's talk about the Hillsdale College because they are very influential here in
A
Florida.
lot of money. Yeah, like you said, you're right, Cato.
Yeah. Guess who was a speaker, prominent speaker at Hillsdale?
Hmm.
The dumbest, the longest serving justice on our
Oh.
Supreme Court.
Tom.
Yes,
Yeah,
that
Thomas.
clown,
Yeah.
Thomas.
Thomas.
Guess who is hoping to set up some Hillsdale College campuses in Washington, D.C.? His wife, Jenny, who isn't worth a penny.
Mhm.
Jenny, who is not worth a penny. But I researched last night looking at the website for Hillsdale College. I looked at all the pictures on their website of students in various activities. Not one minority could be found by me in those pictures.
Mhm.
So I was hoping to look at the staff, and there were no pictures of staff members. So I researched demographics for Hillsdale College. They give no demographics for their college. What they do is they just list the total number of students in the student body population, a little over 1,400. But when you look at the breakdown, such as Asian, 0, whites, 0, blacks, 0, others, 0, because they don't want to identify the demographics because they can't identify the demographics. So they just have a number representing the total student body.
Mhm.
Now, they can get away with that because they pride themselves on not receiving federal dollars.
Mhm.
And if you don't receive federal dollars, you don't have to identify your
Right, more
demographics.
flexibility.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they're getting money from private donations, lots of it.
Mhm.
But here's the key to that. Just let's say, in that Hillsdale, this community college, whatever it is, let's say that you have a minority or 10, I'm just gonna say a black kid. There's your federal dollar, Rick. There's your federal dollar. See, they know that.
Yes, yes.
Mhm.
They know that. They're gonna get federal dollars.
Mhm.
They're gonna get it because the federal, it is based on minorities, that federal dollar.
Well, they don't have any as far as I'm concerned.
But
Yeah.
Not
get
one. Well,
Yes.
no, they've been around for a long time, Russ, and they have resisted federal monies so that they can keep their racism
Yeah.
within,
Right.
their prejudice within, their ideology or ideology within. So I don't know if they're going to seek federal dollars based on what I read. But let's look at
It's definitely so.
some of the things that Jamie mentioned in terms of his sister being a teacher.
Mhm.
And like you said, Russ, I'm a former teacher. You're a former teacher. So we have a lot of inside knowledge about the educational system, particularly here in Pinellas County. But as far as the number of teachers leaving and why they're leaving, I remember speaking to a particular school board member, and her assessment was a lot of the teachers are leaving because of frustration,
Mhm.
anxiety.
Yeah.
COVID played a part in it
Mhm.
because COVID beat up a lot of teachers.
Mhm.
But the angry parents,
Yeah.
the Trump supporting parents
Mhm.
that think they can come in and run your
And
classroom.
dictate. Yeah, they want to
Yeah,
dictate.
and dictate.
Mhm.
That's frustrating.
Mhm.
And if you don't have administrators standing up for those teachers, telling parents, okay, back out of this
Mhm.
situation and take your issue to a school board member, but you can't just come in here and run the school.
Right.
Take your issue to the school board.
Right. A lot of the other stress too is they don't feel they get the support from the administration that they should get.
Right.
They're overworked. Even school safety issues, concerned about things like that, disciplinary policies, and standardized testing. They feel, this whole grade thing they got, and that needs to be, it's important, but they feel like some of these kids are pushed through when just so they don't get a D or a F or whatever the case may be. I'm saying the school grade. And it's a lot of stuff, but a lot of it is just people are just not returning because of the pay. I hear a lot of the pay.
Well, I hear about pay, but you hit on some other issues that are very important when you talked about they're being overworked.
Mm-hmm.
And they are being overworked because when you have such a shortage of teachers,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the teachers that are in the system now, they're having to cover classes
Mm-hmm.
A lot for the teachers that are not there. Also, they're having to simply double up on their workloads.
Mm-hmm.
They have more kids assigned to their classes. Frustrating. School safety issues. What happened in these various school shootings is on the mind of teachers. And when you got all these students in the classrooms and you got all these ridiculous parents and these Trump supporters rallying outside the schools. That's frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah.
Teachers are saying, we don't have to put up with this. I heard a teacher, and I'm going to let you come in, Russ, after that. I heard a teacher out in Colorado, this is Colorado, say that he left a profession that he really enjoyed. And he doesn't have a job right now, but he's looking to become a pilot.
Mhm.
But given his preference, he would have wanted to stay in the classroom. But under the circumstances, with all the pressures that I was just talking about and what Jamie, what you talked about, he had no choice. He couldn't stay in the classroom. He had to leave. Some other pressure, well, Russ, go ahead.
No, I want to keep on.
Well, some other pressures. The gay teachers can't even put pictures of their
Loved ones, partners.
loved ones, married partners, whatever, in the classroom. How stupid.
Right.
How stupid.
It's discriminatory.
Yeah. Go ahead, Russ.
But you know, Ray, here's what it is. In spite, like you say, you have taught and I have taught. One of the biggest things that teachers are going through, and they don't mention this, they use all kind of words. Most of the teachers that I have talked to in college, regardless of low pay and burnout, it is student behavior.
Mm-hmm.
It is student
Mhm.
behavior.
That's big.
Now, listen, you can get these veterans to come in, but how long they going to stay?
Mhm.
3 weeks at the
That-
most.
That's where it is.
Right.
See,
3
it's
weeks
not-
at the
it-
most.
It's not the point that you can't get them in, but how long are they going to stay?
Yeah.
That's
You're
the
right.
problem.
Veterans are used to discipline.
Exactly.
Mhm.
But
They're
But you
they're
can't.
used to order.
Right.
And when those
Mhm.
kids tell those veterans what to do,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and the
Yeah.
veterans can't stand it,
Yeah.
then they're gonna want to go and jack the kid
That's
out.
yeah.
Right.
But
Right.
it's one of these situations where I said earlier, DeSantis and his buddies, cronies, they don't care that they're damaging education in this state
They don't.
the way they're doing it.
Right.
Because they're going to drive these parents and these students from public education to charter schools,
Right. And
which
that's
is
their goal.
their goal.
Right. And that this was already set up. This is not like, oh, let's do this all of a sudden. This was part of the plan. Because like the whole Trump and all his buddies, Sanders and all those, these directions are coming from the white nationalist Christian evangelicals.
That's right.
So this was already framework. And it's slowly happening. You frustrate, look how they're doing the black neighborhoods. They cut off resources, lights going out, transponders bursting, poor storage. You know what I mean? Start moving out. Then they come and take over. And
Right.
then drive, and now the property is valuable. It's the same here. They can get all these schools, then they can teach what they want, wipe out Black history or any other history. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
They have full control. So this is a strategy. It's already been put in place. They're just slowly doing it. We're just this whole getting rid of critical race theory and getting rid of our history. This been in the works,
It's been in the works.
and it's going to be very profitable because you pay for those schools. It's going to be very profitable. So this is not a new thing. This is something they've been
Well,
working on.
In Florida, the education dollars follow the kids
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah, truly.
because charter schools
Truly.
are still public schools.
Truly.
Okay.
Now, you do have some private charters, but
Yeah, I was
charter
just speaking in
schools,
terms of private.
yeah,
Yeah.
charter schools are still public schools.
Mhm.
So the dollars that are spent on kids in the public schools, the regular public schools, if the kids leave, those dollars will follow and go to the charter school.
But here's what you have to watch with charter schools. Let's say Jamie and I want to set up a charter school under the ideologies of this thing,
Mhm.
this car. I can set up that. See, I'm going to do my own.
Mhm.
I'm going to set it up. Let's go back. You remember that I think Joe Waller, they wanted to set up a charter school,
Correct.
but it was denied.
Mm.
You remember that?
Several times.
Yeah, it was
Several
denied
times.
because what they thought that Joe was going to indoctrinate kids against white people.
Oh,
They thought that.
yeah.
So he can get, but the Greeks in Tarpon Spring was able to get it.
Mm-hmm.
You see?
And Tarpon Springs, well, that's redneck KKK. Well, I can remember.
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you two this.
Oh, God.
We know the game plans,
Yeah, we know it.
but what is the solution to this? How do we combat it? What you say?
Well, people need to speak on it. I
Yes.
mean, that's why we have this show to
Yeah.
make awareness, not to
Glad you
be,
said that, Jim.
you know, pro-black only. We're talking
Yes,
all minorities.
yes,
We're talking about
yes.
the issues, the disparities, you know, that we face. And a lot of this stuff is at the local level and above, but you can, you know what I mean, slow it down to local level, but you gotta educate each other, and you gotta read, and you gotta write, you know, just get involved.
I love that.
I
I love that.
was listening to MSNBC, and they did a long segment on what we're talking about.
Mhm.
A lot of the things that are in this report that I read, they talked about it. They talked about Hillsdale College.
Mhm.
They talked about the charter school movement. They interviewed teachers. They interviewed superintendents. They're saying what we're talking about.
Yeah.
It was on MSNBC. I, as a former school teacher and a former school administrator, I'm just disheartened about what's going on. Because being the person I am, I'm trying to, in my own mind, think, what would I have done if I was still in the system?
True.
Probably would have gotten fired. I don't play that. I don't play that. But I will tell you this. When I ask that rhetorical question, what can we do to combat it? It all boils down to making sure that these idiots don't get on the school board.
Right.
And the ones that are already on the school board, we got to vote them out.
Right.
This stupid governor we have, we got to vote him out.
Right.
It's all about voting.
Voting. That's right.
It's all about
It's all
voting.
about voting.
Because if we don't vote them out,
That's right.
they're in power.
Right.
Yes.
They have the authority
And
to do this.
right. And parents that have kids in school, you know, college, not school, high schools, you got to get more involved. Don't wait till the end of the year when your kids fell and now you want to come fuss. You got to be more involved. And when you notice the disparities in the schools, speak on it. Phone calls to
Yes.
superintendents,
Yes.
things like that. Get involved and don't expect teachers to raise your kids. If you got a disciplinary problem with your kids, handle that at home. Get that ass.
I like that.
Yeah, that's real.
All right. That's it. That's it. I was a strict disciplinarian as a teacher and principal, and I know Russ was.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't play the game.
I didn't play the
Right. Yes.
Um,
They can't touch them now. They can't do nothing. They can't yell at them.
But you know, Reggie, when I read this right here, you said everything that could be said about this. And I go back to what Jamie said a few minutes ago. I want someone to stop me on the street and say, listen, what the hell you and Ray Tampa and Jamie talking about? See, I ain't got that yet.
Mhm.
I ain't got to that. Nobody has said that.
Mhm.
That's what I want someone to say.
Right.
Well, what the hell that show is all about? What y'all think y'all doing?
Mm-hmm.
I want that confrontation, Ray, but I
Spreading
haven't
awareness.
received it.
We need that. We're
I
spreading
need it.
awareness. This
Yeah.
spreading awareness for all people, black, white, green, yellow, purple, whoever want to listen. But we're trying to keep you woke.
well, I sent the program out to a number of people,
That's what I want.
responses, and Solomon Stevens, one, former
I know the
superintendent or assistant superintendent. And Solomon said, you all have a good program going. You all talk facts.
I love
That's
it.
what he said. You all talk facts. You do your homework
Yeah.
and you make it interesting.
Yes.
You're
Yes.
not just babbling stuff, not knowing what you're talking about. I do appreciate the two of you. So at this point,
I love
I
it.
want to say to my two co-hosts, once again, thanks for the discussion. Always a pleasure. And to our listening audience,
Yeah.
we encourage you every Tuesday, 5:30 p.m., tune in to 99.1 FM, the Berg to listen to the hottest podcast
I
in
think.
Tampa Bay.
Okay.
Good evening.